WERG, Erie, Gannon.
Oh. This show brought to you by Elpo Dog Food.
From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Well, John, it's you and I again. This is Kaz Kwiatkowski, City Controller, and
I'm John Steiner with Mecca and the Perry 200.
Well, you're worth a lot more than that.
Yeah, I know, but I don't have all day to go.
Biggest question around town.
Yeah.
Who's John Steiner?
Nobody important, I assure you of that.
Oh no, you got your fan club though. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Okay. Where are they at? I don't hear from them.
Breakfast place.
Breakfast place.
Wherever I wind up, they always go, "Who's that guy with you? He's a great guy."
Well, that's because I pay him.
You even got my mother in your corner. Holy crow, you know.
Hey, when you buy people breakfast, they all love you at the breakfast place. It costs me a lot of money to get those.
You know it's summer.
How's that?
Well, it's coming close. Ernie's got the hot dog wagon set up outside already.
Oh, does he?
Yep. So things are,
Hope he's got his coat on today.
Yeah, but you know what? Things are changing.
You know, it's when it's 95 degrees or 90 degrees, we'll be like, man, it's too hot. We
love to complain in here.
Yeah,
too cold, too hot.
We always complain. It's either too hot and...
They call us at the Weather Bureau the Goldilocks syndrome.
The Goldilocks syndrome?
Is that what it is? Too hot, too cold?
Yeah. And this time of the year, though, it's a little too cold right now. I think, but...
I actually saw snow this morning.
It did snow. It was...
Very, you had to look hard.
Yeah, it was snowing as I was driving around, and I said to myself, is that snow? And sure enough, it was snow. So how have you been doing? I missed you last week.
I know. DJ filled in.
Did he?
Yeah, we missed you, though.
No, you guys are fine. You guys are fine.
We had a pretty good show. We had a lot of questions.
Well, just as long as you get a lot of callers calling in and voicing, their thoughts and opinions, it keeps the show rolling.
And if I say we're live now when we're taped, they'll believe that. So yeah. No, but we really are live at this time, 2:00.
Right. And then they replay it during the week.
Right. And some good news is we may in the future be making maybe a once-a-month move over to nighttime.
Cat TV, yeah, they were talking to us about maybe doing a show once a week or not once a week, but maybe once a month or twice a month in the evening hours, so that when people get out of work and they want to talk to Kaz, they can call you at night and voice their opinions at night.
So, well, you'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Maybe we got to get a band like Jay Leno does, or Dave Letterman. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. I think we definitely need to update the intro music. That intro music goes way back.
I've been working on Mike. He gives me all these legal side trips about.
Oh, he pulls out the legal manual.
Yeah, I pulled out a couple of songs I think I'd like to play on here, but
some polka,
different kind. Might be some Jethro Tull too. You never know.
Yeah, go old school on everybody. Well, where's everybody at today? We need some callers calling in.
Yeah, maybe you should give the phone number.
I think that's it right there on the screen, isn't it? 870-1284.
That's it.
I see Kaz finally has some information that some people have been asking.
We'll let John ask.
Yeah, I'm sure John wants to know.
John will call, and...
Yeah, Kaz has been doing some homework. He's been doing some homework this week.
It might not be an answer people are going to enjoy, though.
Well, of course they're not going to enjoy it, but, it is what it is, and there's really not much we can do about it.
2 weeks and parade time.
Parade is in 2 weeks, yes. Saturday the 25th, I believe it is.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I've been asked to march with 2 units.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of...
Maybe 3 units already, but so what I might be doing? I might be running the whole length like 3 times a circle.
I think it's like 1.5 miles long or something.
So I'll be doing 4.5 miles that day, maybe.
You can do it easily.
Well, I've done it before.
Oh, I know.
That one year I had to do 6 parades when I was...
I know. Yeah.
Go ahead, caller.
I switched over and you're on early today.
What do you mean early?
Early?
Well, it's only a couple minutes after, and normally you don't get on about 20 after.
No. Mike, our engineer, he was pushing us to the...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, pushing us off that proverbial cliff.
Oh, yeah? Well, I was watching your proverbial Yanks play the Indians.
Hey, don't you say a word. I'm taping it.
They're winning 1-0.
Yeah, don't tell me who, that's all.
Who's winning, Cleveland or the...
7th inning.
Well, John being a Yankee fan, he believes in what Yogi said.
What did Yogi say?
Yogi was the greatest.
Yeah, if you come to the fork in the road, take it.
Yes, and when it's over, it's over.
Actually, Cleveland's playing
You go
well.
to see everybody at their funeral parlors, don't you? Because if you don't go when you die, they won't come and see you.
You never heard Yogiisms? They were funny.
No,
I've got about 3 or 4 of his books. And I'll tell you, this morning I was talking to another great guy.
Who?
I was talking to Tycho over at the Lions Club.
Oh, Tycho Swick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually addressed him once. I can't remember. When I first was in politics, I did a little speech over there.
He's a fantastic man.
Hey, tell Tycho he owes me a lion, though, because they ran out of lions that day.
Oh, yeah?
I never got my little lion for the desk.
Well, I got a little football.
A football?
A gold football.
What, for being on the All-Star team there or something?
1961.
You were on that one?
Yes. With Wally Maley and...
I remember Wally Maley, Syracuse.
Yes.
Fort LaBeouf, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Then he went to Syracuse? How about that, huh?
Yeah, you've got quite a good memory. I took him over the 1961 All-Star game roster.
Yeah, I remember when I was a young kid, it was a big deal when you opened up the Erie paper. They had the lineups posted, the write-up before the game, the write-up after the game. They really covered the City League like it was a big-time operation.
Oh, yeah, Mailers, Furches, Quinn, the whole shot of them.
Yeah.
In fact, they didn't have any of the photos for the 61 roster. Now they got the complete roster. I kept mine.
You would have thought somebody would have kept all those programs way in the past.
You would think so. But,
what we're finding out, though, I belong to a couple organizations, what happens is somebody who took care of it, somehow everybody assumes that it's still there, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and they're gone.
yeah, and the whole thing here, now they're doing their 75th year. So they're looking, and I was on the website and I saw they didn't have any photos, and I had hair of it, and I was a trim 145 pounds.
Jeez. Well, we all were.
Kevin, you're Italian,
one
we had it made.
I think I was 120 with 20 pounds of weights tied to each one of my legs.
And what was our buddy, Lenny, with his black wristband where he put the plays down on?
Oh, the famous Lenny?
And he couldn't remember the plays because he couldn't see them.
Yeah, Lenny used to tell me he was a great quarterback, Lenny LaCastro at Academy High School.
Yeah.
So I joke with him, I said, well, East used to beat you in Tech, used to put a W right on next to Academy all the time.
Right.
And John, you heard that one too, right?
What's that?
About how, East and Tech used to put a W next to Academy.
Yeah.
Even put it right in before the game started. So I joked with Lenny one time, I said, well, Lenny was a pioneer. He had the first use of the quarterbacks put the plays on the wrist. Mm-hmm. Lenny did that too, because they had 3 plays at Academy. Run left, 4 plays. Run left, run right, up the middle, and 1 pass play. And Lenny couldn't remember them. So the coach challenged him, and he says, Lenny, whatever you got to do to remember it. So Lenny goes and gets some tape and writes the plays on it.
Well,
Tell him the punchline, John.
The what?
Tell him the punchline. Lenny put the tape on his wrist and wrote the plays on it, right?
Got him.
But they were what? On black tape, right?
Well, that's like Freddie, I
Written
never
with a
wanted
black
to
pen.
tackle Freddie when I was playing.
You tackled him.
I didn't want to.
Why?
He had so much goop on his ankles. I figured I'd never leave him alone.
I heard you tackled Freddie once and he kept you for the weekend. Is that true?
I had all that stickum.
Yeah, he took you home for the weekend, I heard.
Well, we were always at his home anyways. we lived in his kitchen all the time, me, Bobby, and Freddie, and we were always there. But I see we're going to have an upcoming vote here on the Vendetti transfer here
For the property.
zoning.
You want to predict it, John?
Yeah, there'll be 5 or 6 yeses and 1 no.
Okay. You heard it here from John.
You want to hear who the no is?
Yeah.
Witherspoon.
Okay. Let's see if he's right.
Well, the way they vote on city council, he's always going to be one or the other, because every time they vote alphabetically. They're too dumb up there to rotate the vote.
Well, they have, they'll sometimes.
First, I got to blame the city clerk too, because he's the one who calls it. You hear that, Jim?
No, that's in the council rules how they do it. They got to change it themselves.
Well, that's ridiculous. They'll never change it because the fifth floor wants it done that way.
When I was on the school board, we voted in rotation. That was always interesting. You'd see people placing stuff on there at the last minute. We'll stick John. We'll stick Kaz.
Yeah. Well, they use the tote board for important votes.
Yeah, but the tote board's no different than...
Does that thing even work?
Yeah, well, I think they had a little trouble the last time.
It's still there.
So do you got a question to ask, John? I got an answer for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Give me the question.
Oh, I know what the answer is already.
What?
He does know the answer.
What's the answer?
The answer is no, because they're part of the Port Authority.
No, you're close, but...
Well, go ahead, give it to me.
Well, the question is about the hotel, right?
Yes.
So, I tried to find it. Believe it or not, they actually have the wrong address.
It's 55 West Bay Front.
Right, but try to look it up under that, you won't find it.
Well...
It's under a State Street address. But to make the long story short, John and I have it right here. And yes, it is tax exempt.
I said that.
And it's actually owned by the convention center.
Which, yes.
Yep. Actually, the total taxable value would be land and building both, all rounded up, $17.5 million.
Oh, that's just wonderful, isn't it?
It's about $1.8 million on the land, 15.7 on the building, for a total of 17.53.
That's what their taxes would be, all three of them?
That's the well,
that's their taxable property value.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, the total value is about 25.7 million. And taxable value is 17.5. So I didn't have time to figure out the tax on it.
Well...
But suffice to say, it would be sizable.
Well, sure. Now you got Vincent and Hammett questioning their appraisal because they're in that pilot program and they think their appraisal is too high.
Well, there's really the two biggest that are giving us anything.
Right, and the school district is going along with them or against them. Well, they all should be paying their fair share, at least for services.
Yeah, that's why, I'm not mad at Hammond and Vincent because, they probably look at it like, we've been paying and nobody else is picking up the,
right.
the challenge out there.
Well, just like Gannon downtown, I have nothing against the school itself, but I think they should be doing more than throwing up a lights and having all these streets and all this property, and they're all making profits.
Well, that's all part of the Gannonization of Erie.
Well, you go
They'll have their own little community down there eventually.
These universities have so much money, with their endowments and other monies. The money that they charge a student to attend their school, combined with their endowments, they have so much money, it's ridiculous.
Well, sure it is. I have nothing against them, but the whole thing is there's 45 or 50% of the taxpayers sustaining their services and everything else. If I had a big property like that, I'd throw an SUV in every once in a while.
I'll say this about Gannon, and we talked on this show about this before. At least their security goes out and monitors in the community instead of just staying on their, quote, campus, and they help police their students, whereas Mercyhurst does not, correct, Kaz?
Well, that's a closed campus.
Right.
Well, but what I mean, what John's saying though is, even though their campus is fragmented, it's got a general circle around it. So, if they're driving along and they see trouble, they're another set of eyes for the city.
I don't know why.
They can call the police and easily.
Right. Well, why wouldn't Mercyhurst? Is it insurance? Do they?
Well, first a judge ruled against them. But I'm sure deep down, and I don't speak for them, they probably really don't want to come off campus.
No.
Their police force is not armed.
Right.
And where Gannon is armed. Gannon is a regular police department.
Well, they would have to, they'd have to cover insurance, and they would have to hire more staff, which would be a cost, would be costly for them.
And pretty much they stay on their campus, except for a couple houses here and there that they own, and that land that they own behind that church.
Right.
They're pretty much, landlocked up in their own little campus area.
Well, the campus area isn't really that big.
No.
It goes from Parade Boulevard.
Where the trouble with the neighbors is that
38th Street.
Yeah, even though that's not their property per se, it's their kids.
Avenue.
It's their kids, you know.
I think if the Mercyhurst kids saw, the Mercyhurst patrol vehicle driving around, and
Well, this morning I was going by there early because I had to be over the site center. There's two kids out there in shorts, 39 degrees, and they're throwing a football around. I mean, I was rough and ready in my younger days, but I wasn't stupid.
But, if they're carrying book bags around 38th Street, they are studying, remember that.
Yeah. While we're talking about 38th Street, down below there's a tree laying right in the sidewalk. It's been there for 4 weeks now.
Where, 38th Street?
Yes.
Whereabouts?
Down around that area there where they cut down a tree.
On the trees laying on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I guess they call the Parks Department, and they haven't done anything with it yet.
North side or south? North side probably, right?
Side of the street.
North?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a look.
I'm not sure that would be a parks, if it's on their property, isn't it?
No, that tree's cut down, and when you bring anything down like that, if you notify the Parks Department, you're put on the list.
Oh, okay,
Then they come and pick it up.
okay.
But I saw some little old lady, I was going to get out of my vehicle and give her a hand. She was tripping over that tree, and it's either trip on it or go out in the street and get killed by a car.
Either way, we should be proactive in
Right,
either ordering or removing the tree from said sidewalk.
right.
Now, the whole thing is these people can't multitask. They go by with their parked trucks and everything else. Unless they're given a written order, they don't do it on their own.
We're going to find out why it's blocking the sidewalk, because that's definitely a hazard for our citizens.
Well, code enforcement, but you bang your head on the wall with code enforcement.
Well, one thing I got this year, in my last year, I have some pictures and examples of parks zoning at its best. And if they refuse to do what they're supposed to do, maybe I'll release those photos. Maybe the newspaper will love to see some of their handiwork.
On work orders, that work order column.
I'm not putting up with what I did last year, the stuff I saw existing that, if you're complaint driven, then let's see you answer complaints.
Well, they're cut too thin. They don't have too many people.
Right.
Let me tell you something, John. There's 3 people in my office, and there's only a few but every week, the people here in City Hall get the job done for most of the time. I'm serious about this. Paychecks have never been not cut. Customers have never not got paid. Finance department does their job. Police go out there with limited resources. It's a reality. You got to do what you got to do with what you got.
Well, the reality will be...
I mean, eventually you got to get, even if it takes you a month, you got to get around to something, right?
Yes, and the whole thing here is the reality is really going to hit home here. Tax time, budget time. The school district already, they're not fooling around. They want 1.1 mils tax increase.
Well, there's a couple rumors floating. I'll be glad to talk to you about them.
Well, the whole thing here is it has to go to the voter.
Right.
I think they can raise taxes up to a certain level without the voters.
Up to a certain percentage, right.
Yeah, but after that, they're what they need, they're going to have to go to the
They're
taxpayers.
going to have to go to a judge and get the okay.
I saw in Buffalo, I think it is Buffalo, that I believe the city government oversees the school district there.
It does in Philadelphia, too.
Both in Philadelphia, too?
But Philadelphia is a city of the first class.
Okay.
In Pittsburgh, they don't run their school system. They're a city of the second class. So in Pennsylvania, only city of the first class does that.
Oh, okay.
And there's only one first-class city.
Well, the city is we're rural. We're not urban anymore.
We're not what?
We're not urban. We're rural.
That's right. We shouldn't even have any of those inspection stickers.
Hey, we don't need emission control.
Oh, no, because we got animal emissions.
Yeah, but you're allowed to have 25.
John, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
If we do a show in the evening hours on Cat TV, would you be willing to come on the show with us?
Sure, why not?
There we go.
Because you're like Charlie from Charlie's Angels. You're like a voice, but no one's ever seen your face.
Yeah, and as long as I'm guaranteed parking.
Actually, I think they do have
Yeah, they do
parking
have
at the
parking.
Cat TV studios.
Especially at night, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, because, I just see that they're having a motorcycle deal this weekend or this Thursday or Friday, and they said there's guaranteed off-street parking. I mean, just what I want to do. I want to buy a townhouse down there so I can have screaming noise till 10 o'clock in the evening and open beer cans and a whole shot.
Hey, I'm going to let you go because you can call back later, okay?
I'm going to switch over now to 23.
You're not going to watch us?
He's going to watch Indians and Yankees.
I'm cutting in and out. The score is still 1-0.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. Thanks a lot, John.
All righty.
Yankee fans, no respect for the game.
Yeah,
He knows I'm taping the game. He's going to ruin it for me.
That's how they are. They don't care. They're rude and obnoxious.
I hope we beat those Yankees.
Cleveland's doing pretty good, though.
If we beat the Yankees, I'm walking around on a cloud around here.
They just did they win 2 out of 3 in
Against the
Detroit?
Tigers, yeah.
In Detroit, 2 out of 3. That's good. You take that anytime.
I remember I got mad at the Erie Seawolves one night. I went to the game. I'm taping the game at home, and he goes, "I earned a score from Detroit." I'm going, ooh. Ooh. I was ready to throw some at the guy up there.
You DVR in it, or you probably got an old school VCR.
No, I got the new Cablevision box, like.
Oh, I see, with the DVR. Well, there's some things coming up in the community, too.
Go ahead, let's hear them.
The 9/11 memorial is, they're having the dedication for that on, we'll talk about that in a minute.
We're finally going to get it up, huh?
Finally. Working on it.
Go ahead, caller.
Cass, getting back to that Sheraton Hotel,
Yeah.
that's funded by gaming money.
Indirectly, yes. You're right. They get a grant from I think they get some from the room tax, too, indirectly.
And the money that could be going to other projects besides that hotel is funneled to pay for the bond that they let to build that hotel down there for Sheraton. What in the world? Sheraton must have laughed all the way to the bank when they entered into that agreement. They have some kind of a management agreement where Sheraton runs it and reaps the profits. I mean, it's just an asinine deal that only in Erie, Pennsylvania could you come up with that scheme.
I'm not sure how it works. I think the convention center probably owns the building, and the hotel itself, like you're right, it's managed by the Sheraton.
Well, they probably own the property.
Thumb their nose at the Scots when they wanted to participate in running that.
Well, John and I were at a function where Nick Sr. is pretty much thrown down the gauntlet. He's going to build some.
I hope he does. He could put the Sheraton, out of business just by the competition that he could offer them. But that's just one thing. Kaz, I got a problem with, and I know there isn't a damn thing anybody can do about it, about people that live out of the city that draw these big salaries. And I'm going to name names. You got Kim Green, the head of the Erie Redevelopment Authority, lives in Waterford. Brenda Sandberg, $85,000 a year. Head of Economic Development for the city of Erie, lives in Waterford. The mayor's assistant, who should be able to go and participate at events in this city representing the mayor, lives in Summit or Edinburgh Township, $75,000 a year. And then he just appointed a new assistant fire chief for $82,000 a year, who's on the school board out in Fort LaBeouf or something, who can't even vote. And those 4 people can't even vote for their mayor. That girl, that's the mayor's assistant, can't even cast a vote for her boss. That's ridiculous to me. Those people, those at-will employees, should have to live in the city. That's $325,000 in salaries that head south every month.
Well, supposedly, according to the city ordinance.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, because elected officials have to live in the area they govern. So we are not permitted to live outside the city.
And I'm not sure now.
Okay, but every employee has to live within 15 miles as a crow flies. That's how the ordinance is written.
But I think, even though Kim Green doesn't work for the city, does, I was born at night, but not last night. She can have those authority members that pay her salary and enter into 5-year agreements with her, and we hear how wonderful she is and all the good things she does. She still really works for the city. She was a Republican who answered the phone for Arlen Specter, and then with wave a magic wand over her head, and she's an economic development specialist.
I would be in favor, seriously, of going back to the old days, and that part of the problem why the city is suffering is that people that have the chance are moving out.
Oh yeah, Cass.
And we don't, and this is my sore spot is we don't get the income tax.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're not going to get the real estate, that's a given.
Right.
And we're not going to get their purchasing power because people are going to buy where they live, but not even the income tax because it's a domicile tax.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what else is significant, Kaz? If I go to somebody in economic development and say, what's here you got to offer me? And we've got this, and this. Well, where do you live? Well, I live in Waterford, a cozy little suburb out there. Why do you, and then I'd have to ask those same 4 people why they live there. Are the schools better? Is it safer?
well, as my friend used to tell me, he was on the school board with me.
Yeah.
Lenny LaCastro used to say, and he used to have me laughing, they did move out there for the weather.
No,
They didn't go out there.
This way too, Cass. In a tight little community, say the fire chief lived in 36 in Washington. It's pretty nice to have the fire chief of the city living around the neighbors that he's protecting. And the head of economic development. It'd be nice if she lived on 38th and State.
Well, think if they allowed me to live outside the city or any elected official.
Yeah. And I'm almost starting, and I didn't really think that I'd like this idea, but maybe if things change down there with the council, maybe it should be where council represents a segment of the city instead of the whole city.
I've said for years that I talked one time with Dr. Garvey, actually, and I remember I was talking with him about the idea of either 6 councilmen by ward and 1 at large, or...
There was a debate. They had a debate at the Jefferson Education.
About that.
I think Sumner Nichols and was it Pat? I think Capabianca was.
Yeah, because Pat was is kind of a historian from the old days.
Yeah.
And Sumner is probably arguing from the legal standpoint.
Right. I think Sumner was arguing for the the ward council members.
Mm-hmm. I think there's, like this gentleman says, there are advantages to it.
Sure.
There are. I think you could be more involved in that district that you represent, and you'd have to live there too.
Well, the people would know who to talk to. I mean,
yeah, and the way it is now, I don't know where they all live, but I don't think they're all congregated where they probably need to be. But I just think that would be something that could be looked into, and. But it's just crazy the way I see the city headed, and like John mentioned, the discussions at the end of the year for the budget are just going to be crazy, and it's going to be the increases in health care. We don't have $2 million for roads next year.
No, and see, here's the thing: to grow the economy, we got to do one of 2 things. We have to either bring new businesses here or new people.
Oh, yeah.
This community was 138,000 when I was a kid.
Or embrace the businesses that are here.
Yeah, well, there you have it too. I mean,
good reason to stay here, Cass.
I mean, you look at the city that, I've been here all my life, and this was 138,000 when I was a kid. We're now, we've lost about 30-some thousand people.
Yeah. But Cass, those are just some things that really just gnaw at me, and I see the next time I see Kim Green on the front page of the newspaper spewing about what a great job she's doing and her life history and leaning forward, she's leaning forward, but she's headed south. I want her to lean forward, headed north, and get back in here and represent this darn city that pays her well, and those other three people I mentioned.
Well, here's a challenge. You got that building.
Let me just, how could the mayor, I'm serious, and that girl that got that job might be the brightest person in the world. She represents the mayor. Is she going to go to this inner city and tell people what we're doing for you while she scurries off to her little humble abode out in Edinburgh or wherever she lives? I mean, that's wrong. And the mayor didn't use his head when he did that. I mean, God darn it.
We need to change the ordinance, because right now it says 15 miles.
Well, and here's that ordinance. I won't tell you what I think you can do with it.
Oh, I know.
These at-will employees serve, and he can't get around this, at the will of the mayor.
Wasn't there a court?
Doesn't want you. They're not union protected, I don't think.
No.
Maybe in government they could be union protected.
No, not if you're at will. If you're at will, you fall under white collar, or you're not under such a.
You know, and the mayor.
Yeah, you're not protected by a union. There are a lot of people in that boat here.
Yeah, and the mayor, he should think more about these at-will appointments and get some people from this city that could make a difference. That girl can probably make a difference in one way or another.
Well, I got laughed at when I was on the school board, because my idea would be to hire the majority of teachers where we could, from people that resided within the city, that especially those who sent their kids to the public school.
Yeah.
Because, they had a vested interest.
Yeah, and then I'll let you go. Dick Millhouse was involved in that Mill Creek School Board a few years ago, and they were trying to rile up the people and bring the Mill Creek School Board under control, and it was probably 10 years ago. And he told me one day over coffee, he says, you know what the hardest thing to do is? He says, Mill Creek has a disproportionate amount of school teachers. He says all the Mill Creek school teachers live in Mill Creek, and so do all the City of Erie school teachers, because they don't want to live in the city that they work in, and they don't have to. And he said that makes it difficult to do anything creative out there, because there's this disproportionate amount of unionized labor in the school district from the city who has a vote in the Mill Creek School District and the Mill Creek School District teachers themselves. So it was very hard to get anything accomplished out there, because you're fighting an enormous amount of pressure from an enormous amount of unionized workers, them being school teachers in this case. But,
this is why I think when people get mad at me when I get riled up a little bit about 38th Street, it's because I actually live there.
Oh yeah.
I have to face these people. When I go to breakfast or when I go to church.
Guys, I ride by there, and there was a toga party going on a week ago that probably was stopping traffic on East 38th.
I mean, when I go to church and I see another guy come up to me and go, it was nice knowing you, but I'm moving out to Harbor Creek or Mill Creek.
Oh yeah.
I lose a lot of friends. It's sad, and I think when you live in the city and you reside in the city, you know what they go through because you're going through it.
Yeah, but I've tied you up an awfully long time, but thanks for being patient with me, and thanks for the listeners being patient with me. But I just had to get some of those things off my chest. I'll let you go now, Ken.
Okay.
All right.
Kaz, what are you, speaking of unions and stuff like that, what are your thoughts? Did you see in the news that from the GE, I think it's the 506, they're filing antitrust?
Mm-hmm. Hold that thought, John.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I got a question for you guys there.
Go ahead.
A little while back there, I don't know if it was the Port Authority of the city, but they redid all the sidewalks going down to the dock.
Right.
Do you know if that was the Port Authority or did the city do all that work?
Oh, you're talking about the one down State Street?
Yes, sir.
I actually think that was, we got grant money for that. And it was done in conjunction with them. You know what I'll do? I see the engineer and I'll ask him. There was some grant money involved in that because we're rebuilding. There's a lot of people don't realize that's a bridge down there. Where State Street down by the dock. It comes under the category of a bridge when it goes over the water.
The question I have mainly is when they did that renovation, they drained that pond.
What pond was that?
the west side of the, just west of the library there, there's been a pond there as long as I can remember.
Really?
And I'm wondering where they got the authority to drain that pond.
I don't know if that was a
Where was it? Where?
pond, but I think that there was just standing water there. I don't think, because there's a parking lot there.
When you've got cattails and lily pads, it's federally protected property. That was wetlands.
Where was it? West of the library?
West of the library, I don't know what's the name of the street that goes right in front of the library.
I think they call it.
Holland.
Is it Front?
I'm not really sure.
The one that runs east to west or north to south?
We're running right there across from the bait stand guy and all that right there right on State Street. I mean the pond came almost right up to the sidewalk.
I'll have to find out about that. I didn't think there was a pond there.
And well, it was standing water like the gentleman said, but probably 8-9 months out of the year, 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure that federally that was a wetlands, and I was just curious if anybody bothered to follow the law, because it doesn't seem like when it comes to one municipality, federal law doesn't seem to be all that relevant. One other real quick question about that area.
Yeah.
Library's been there for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few years, and there's a city ordinance requiring sidewalks that front all roads. And if the owner of the property doesn't put in the sidewalks, the city is required to put in the sidewalks and bill the property owner. Well, gee, there's a pretty long stretch from State Street to the library there without any sidewalks, and I'm wondering why the city hasn't done anything about it, especially when you had all the crews down there putting in those brand new sidewalks on State Street. I would think it would have been a lot cheaper just to run them around the corner and put in the sidewalks. I've been waiting quite a long time watching kids have to walk in the street in the middle of winter, and I'm just curious why the city doesn't even bother to follow its own ordinances.
My guess would be that, is that the property owned by Nick Scott?
I think that's what
Is the mayor afraid of Nick Scott or something?
No,
what's the deal? I mean,
I'm sure, let me tell you this, my belief would be that he's going to develop it, and they may be waiting till he develops it.
well,
and
how
then-
long are we going to have to wait till I'm in the ground? That
Well-
library's been there a long time.
When we went to a meeting, it sounded like he was,
things are going to start happening.
things were going to move pretty quick.
I mean, you think he's a pretty decent guy, but
Yeah.
we've been waiting here now how many years for those sidewalks? And I'm getting kind of tired of having to watch kids walk in the street in the dead of winter.
Yeah, that sidewalk there, though, I'll check on it. I know the one you're talking about. That's the one that goes from the front of the museum, front of the smokestack, right?
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's where the Civic Center was going to be, and they never built it there. So I think that's Nick Scott's right now. He's finalizing plans to build there. They may be waiting until he builds, I don't know, but I will check on it for you. And I'll check on I think there was state or federal money that we used on State Street also.
It seems to me that, like I said, when they redid all those sidewalks right there,
I think
it wouldn't have cost that much to turn the corner and run them another 50 yards or whatever the heck it is.
I think the Port Authority is the one who received the grants and did all the landscaping and the medians and the intersection.
I'll have to check, though.
And then they had the Scots and the Convention Center
But see,
Authority.
State Street belongs to the city, I think. I'll check, I'll get the right answer from the engineer.
I'd appreciate that, because I'm getting kind of tired of hearing that there's construction in the works. Well, it's been in the works for a pretty long time now.
Well, they had a court battle. They were fighting in courts.
Yeah, he had a court battle because the original plan was to build a multi-story convention center. Am I right, John? West of the smokestack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, west of the smokestack.
Right.
And there were some limitations at property. And then the hotels were going to go on the north side of that road you talk about, which would have been west of the museum. There was going to be some restaurants and hotel there.
There was some other contractual
Yeah,
problems.
and it was held up in court, so I think from everything I've understood, Nick Scott is in the process of finalizing what he's going to do with that property.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that it's the courts that are causing the delay.
Well, they did originally because he had a battle with the Convention Center Authority, and so now that that's straightened up, and probably the deeds are all cleared up and the land use.
Then you got the problem. You have the Convention Center Authority, the Port Authority, two different, the city and private business. You have 4 different entities trying to work together in order to make something happen, and that's a lot of different entities.
Well, while you're at it, find out who got the authority to drain that pond.
Yeah, I'm going to check and see if there was a pond there. I mean, I'm not denying. I'm trying to think real hard. I don't remember.
Are you talking between State Street and the library?
Right, exactly, right there. It was maybe. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't think that was a pond. I think there was just standing.
You see if they. All they have to do is see cattails in it.
I mean, if
they see cattails, they go nuts.
Yeah. Have a great day.
They do, right, sir? Yeah, they do. I tell you, if they see a cattail,
okay,
they go livid. It's like now it becomes a wetland. There were farmers that did that. They had like depressions that they plowed, and cattails grew in there, and then they got in trouble.
Right.
Go ahead, caller.
That pond the gentleman was talking about, that turned into a natural pond. In fact, Ray Schreckengoss hired a couple of dogs to chase the geese out of there. You recall that?
No, so it was a pond. It became a pond, right?
A natural pond with cattails and everything else, and the Port Authority, they hired a dog to chase the geese from around that area.
Well, what they usually do if they fill a pond and they have to swap something with somewhere else.
Not if you're a city or a county. They just put a remedial fill. What are they going to do to that 5.2 acres that Vendetti has out here that is a wetland?
Well, he'll have to build some retention ponds, no doubt.
Well, he can go up there by the car wash on 38th Street and put a retention pond in that.
Oh, you mean the East Side Art Museum?
Oh, that's the East Side Graffiti Museum.
I call it Modern Art Center.
I have bad news for you.
What?
But I won't tell you. You can see your tape.
Oh, yeah, you just told me they're losing now, John. I mean, what a nice guy you are, you know that?
I said they were winning.
Who, we are?
The Indians were winning.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
And it was a shutout.
Really?
1-0.
Wow.
Kipnis hit the home run in the 2nd or 3rd inning.
Oh, my God.
So now you can forget that and go take game 2.
Kaz is all happy. You should see him right now. He's giddy right now.
And now they're in first place with the Tigers.
Why, is the game over?
Yeah, it's going. Finished.
Yeah, businessman
They
special.
say in Italian, finito.
Yeah, finite.
Oh, are they playing a doubleheader today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A natural doubleheader.
Really?
Yeah, not the day-night one, a natural.
Really?
It starts at 3:25, I think, the second game.
Hey, you and I should have went up there and let John run the show today.
Now they're going to sweep everything out and recharge the people to come back.
No, I heard it's a natural doubleheader, John. They get 2 games for the price of 1.
Hey, come to Erie, you can get all the hot dogs you want for the price of 1.
You going tonight?
Erie and freeze?
You can have my ticket, John.
I'm not as young as I used to be.
They have heaters over there now.
I haven't seen the Seawolves play one game.
Actually, the brand that we have there, the AA players that come in, they are pretty good, and a lot of them jump right from AA to the majors.
Well, let me tell you about baseball up here in Erie. Our Glenwood League, when it was in its prime, was just as good as AAA baseball. You remember the Glenwood League has?
Yeah.
Had pitchers like Schmerker, Gangini, some old fella by the name of
Sam Jethro?
Sam Jethro pitched here. Satchel Paige even threw a few here. And then there was Old Moon. Every time you saw Old Moon,
Yeah, Old Moon could catch a quarter
at
at 30 paces.
he'd say, "Come on in."
You flip a coin here, Moon could catch it with his hat.
I was down at the library. I was in the research department. I saw they have a picture hanging up of the Pontiacs. Are
Yeah.
you familiar with that? I think Fred Rush's, I don't know if it's his father, was a player on that team.
That's what a lot of the Negro League baseball players, wasn't it, John?
Moon was fantastic. In fact, I used to get $1.50 every game from Moon.
Hey, John, who was on that Pontiacs? That was a lot of the Negro League guys, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Tom Lee,
Big Pitch Harden?
yeah, the Pope brothers, they were fantastic.
Sammy, I think, played with Jethro, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they had...
You remember little Tom Lee, don't you?
I remember watching him play, yeah.
He was a fantastic guy. He was the manager and player.
They used to use Bayview. I mean, I used to watch those balls sail over that left field wall.
Yeah, I used to shag them. When I was a kid, I got 75 cents from each team to shag the balls over the fence.
I met Big Pitch Harding Sunday one day, and, you know, we were joking about how, you know, a lot of people don't realize some of these guys, they could have been in the majors, the ones that didn't make it.
Oh, yes.
You know, it was prior to integration of baseball.
Right.
A lot of them got up, even the guys from UE 506 and the other teams got up as far as AAA ball.
Yeah, I remember what it was like. Wasn't there a guy, La Rosa or something? Or?
Yeah, not Julius, but Rosa. He played, I think, for the Yankees.
It was either Yankees or Boston. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Because they had Paris Steakhouse, they had the Pontiacs, they had the pie place out in West Springfield.
They have a nice picture of the
506.
Pontiacs.
That's Gene George played for them. Billy Brabender played.
And there was some good baseball in those days.
Yes, and you know, I got a lot of bats when I was a kid there, too.
Oh, yeah.
The split bats, we'd drive tacks in them and tape them up, and they were just as good as new.
Well, that league was big. They played in Waterford, Springfield,
They were all over there.
Glenwood, and Bayview, I think, for sure, right?
Yes, and I'll tell you what, for when the good games came, there was 300-400 people down there. And that's quite a draw.
Well, you know, I was glad to see that the Erie Explosion won the championship.
Yes, that's Bill Stafford's team. He's a great guy.
I think, Kaz, didn't you and I go to a game? We remember we went to that one game, and he was walking around through the crowd.
Bill?
Yeah,
I remember him when he was a little squirt. Me and Dick Arrington carried him to the principal's office because he was screwing around in the hall.
Billy Stafford?
Yes.
Well, wait till we get that on him.
Yeah, he was walking around and, you know, thanking all the fans for coming and asking us what we thought about it, or what do you think that they could do to improve the atmosphere? And he was a great guy, and it's good to see an owner.
City Council should give him an award too now.
Yeah.
Citation.
Well, they took a lot, you know, with that situation with that gentleman who was breaking the law that was involved with the team. They've been taking some heat publicly, but it's sad that the actions of one person were reflecting on a good thing that the Explosion have going.
They've been under fire with the arena improvements. It's been a rough go with them, and
right. Well, same with the Otters too.
And we're going to get that arena up there, and the hockey team is going to leave.
Well, you know what? That might be
a good thing. We might get a better team.
Yeah, we might. And you know what? We still got the Bayhawks, and we still have Bill Stafford's team. And hey, they'll be. You know what? They ought to. I'm going to talk to Bill, but I'm sure he's going to put a pennant up in the rafters.
Well, they have local owners. They have local owners. You know, this Explosion have a local owner, Mr. McCormick. You know, he's part owner of the Bayhawks.
Is he owner of the football team?
Have a great day. In case your gal from Lamb of God wants to call and remind you there's a meeting tonight.
No, there isn't one tonight. But
good day.
Yeah, I mean that's great news. I mean, another pennant up on the ceiling, and
yeah. I think once the arena gets done, it's going to be really nice.
Oh,
I drive by there, and
when I toured that arena and they finally put the seating at the one end.
Yeah.
Have you been? You've been?
I haven't been in it since they've.
We were in there when they had it blocked off, and now it's open.
Right, that's when I'd last.
It looks like a horseshoe in there now. You know.
Good. That's what. And you know what I did see the last time I was in there was luxury boxes, luxury suites, where that's where you make your money in an arena.
The thing I was disappointed in, they have like a club on the west end, up on the horseshoe.
Yeah.
They were. It's not a club like we thought they were going to put in, like a sports bar type of club where anybody could go up there, you know.
Right.
You know, pay a little extra for a high-priced beer, but have a good time, because that's what you want to do.
You mean on the Holland Street side?
Well, they had one planned for the southwest corner where you could look over the baseball park, or you know.
Right.
And it's a place like if you want to take somebody there to eat, like prior to the game or during the game. You know, and you like they do in the big ballparks where, you know, you watch the game from up there.
Right.
But then they decided to go with a private type club where, and I'm not sure Casey was talking about how it would work. You would buy tickets like almost like a season ticket to be up in that area.
Right.
What I think a lot of people would love to have seen was something like, well, if you got visitors, you went up there and,
When you have those luxury suites, what you have, you rent those out for all the events and all the games
Yeah,
and all
that's
the
them, John.
activities.
that's the ones on the north and south end, but the one
Right.
on the west end is gonna be like a club-type setting.
Okay.
You don't actually get a luxury box, but there's
Right.
a seat there that you would have,
Kind of like they have at the Sky Dome in Toronto.
probably.
Like a Hard Rock type of, I mean, not a Hard
Yeah.
Rock per se, but something like that. where
But like a lot of sports bars, like Cleveland, you can go up there and have dinner,
Right.
even if you don't have to buy it by the year, you can buy it by the game.
Right, right.
I actually seen something that was weird one time. I don't know if they were proposing or they did do it. They put a set of chairs down the middle up in the catwalks. How about that for a view? Like overhead?
Right, right. Yeah, that would be something.
That'd be, either way you look at it, when we toured it, it was like a first-class facility. Locker rooms were, what you expect them to look like. The big kitchen area down there was nice. They had the concourse. You've been in there since that? You remember it used to be crowded in the concourse?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Wide now.
Yeah, it is. It's very
You can't
nice.
complain.
No, they have done a good job on it.
Yeah, I mean, now you can actually enjoy yourself.
Right,
And there's a little bit more seating. I would have loved to seen a lot more seating.
right.
But, I think it looks nice now. It's very functional.
I haven't been in there in probably about 6 months, I'd say.
Yeah, it was nice looking, and it's about time that,
Yeah. Well, see, similar to what the convention center, the hotel and stuff, you have to spend a little money to try to make a lot of money. Now, the question is, does the revenue that we bring in from these conventions and other shows and the people staying at the hotel and the restaurants and everything, are they spending enough money to justify the losses that we're taking regarding the revenue? I mean, that's an answer, that's a question we need to have answered.
I like concerts. I mean, I like to go to, there used to be TSO used to come in, Trans-Siberian.
Oh, they're great, yeah.
And I know a lot of people said, and this is where I disagree with them. It wasn't the 3% tax that kicked them out of Erie. Because when you look at their schedule,
Yeah.
you can read between the lines that,
Do you want to play the Quicken Loans Arena
Yeah.
at $20,000 or the Erie Civic Center?
yeah, so what you do, you go into Cleveland, you put an extra show or two in there.
Right.
And you don't have to set up another day like Erie.
Right,
Set up and sit down for one show.
right.
And you know what? I can't blame them, which is why I think like you say, if we had the number of seats, if you want to, and Erie is proven, when Elton John came in, Reba McEntire, the big names, when they were current, they will sell out for big names.
Well,
Remember Kenny Rogers when he was hot? They came in, they filled the place. Barry Manilow.
Right.
But if you want to bring in the big guys, you got to have the seats.
I went to see Elton John when he came to town. I was kind of disappointed, to be honest with you.
Really?
It was just him and the piano. I like to see the band and the horn
Well, you know what?
section.
It's probably the cost factor.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he just came, I mean, he's something. That guy's got talent.
I mean, John, it's simple math, okay?
Yeah,
He's got a fee he's going to charge,
right,
and you divide that by the seats real quick, and you figure out what you got to charge. I mean,
right.
But I think, Erie has proven if you bring in something good.
Right. It's, we have to start taking a positive approach to, I saw in the newspaper they gave a thumbs down to...
What, the music?
The Celebrate Erie.
Yeah, you know what? Let me tell you something. Here's my feeling. When the mayor took office, they really nailed him. Of all the problems we had, you know what the #1 article in the paper was?
Something about Celebrate Erie.
Yeah. I mean, come on now,
I mean, we're working with everybody's complaining about taxes and, and this and that and spending this and that, and then they're complaining about what bands we're bringing in.
I'll tell you what, I argued with the mayor once, and I said, my son lives in Allentown, so I mentioned the Music Fest. I said, maybe we should have one that we pay for.
Right,
But the mayor's made a conscientious decision, he wants it for free.
right,
And that's okay,
right.
I don't have to, I can express my opinion and be shot down,
I mean,
But you know what? But to have a negative thumb down?
Well, you have different, he's got Sha-Na-Na for the older people. I mean, that's what they like. They've got the country western
He's a
band.
pretty decent guy.
They're good. And then they have Brett Michaels, who's got a really big following. And I'm willing to bet money it's packed down there.
And guess what? It's free.
And the price is right.
which is what he wants, okay?
Right.
Now, the mayor listened to me, and he doesn't want to do what anybody else would, about charging. That's, it's his show, he's in charge.
Right.
But I'll tell you this, to say something negative about something that works.
Right.
I mean, we're we're tightwads in here, I'll say this. You can go down to 8th grade Tuesdays,
Right.
and at times they've had some good groups there.
Right.
They've had the old Jefferson Starship. And,
Right.
yeah, you're not going to get the number one.
Right.
But you know what? Like you said, John, you got 3 pretty good groups, and to me, he spends more, I give him credit, his people spend more time they probably should be on that, because he's under pressure from people like the Times that go, oh, well, this is the most important thing.
When
It's not.
when you're judging the mayor's over progress or whatever by a Celebrate Erie festival, I mean, don't they need something better to talk about over there?
Jim McCorchick said it's probably about a couple busted eagles down to the newspaper office.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and you sure? But I agree with you. There's much more important things to do. We have a free festival. Hey, you can complain all you want, but you know what? It's free.
Right. I mean, we got more. I mean, GE is suing. Or the union is suing GE. There's some different thoughts about the unions but in my opinion, GE's playing hardball with us.
Here's a thumbs down.
And they're threatening us.
I'm going to give a thumbs down, and we're going to talk about GE and finish it.
Okay.
Thumbs down to the Times, because I can't get my scores on time. Because they published a paper where?
Yeah, in
Butler.
Yep.
Okay, there's your thumbs down.
Yep. I don't know if I want to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to UE 506 for pressing the issue with filing the grievance with the National Labor Board about the GE management team, in the contracts. I mean, obviously, we don't know what the contract situation is.
Oh, and I tell you, that's something, John, that...
I mean, they're playing
I
with
wouldn't want to
fire.
be in that room, I'm telling you. There's a lot at stake on...
Yeah, there's a lot.
This is a big, what do you call this? This is the big card game.
Yeah, I mean, GE's playing hardball with us by threatening to move 1,000 jobs out of our community. That's just for starters.
I know, and then the union's got a service to their membership.
Right. So, I mean...
What a poker game that is, huh?
I mean, some people are complaining about the unions and this and that and this and that, but the unions have to play hardball as well, in my opinion. Each side has to give a little. They give a little, we give a little. They're making what do they make, $1 billion in the quarter or the year or whatever? They can afford to pay the workers.
Well, here's what, John, we were talking the other day, we were at this Pebble Park down there in the west side. We were talking about how that neighborhood and the neighborhood around it used to be a strange neighborhood. You had Green Garden, which was, at that time, was a step up for young professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And you looked all across the city and you saw the next step of your ladder. This is where I'm going to end up. This is where I'm going to be. This is what I want to be, Mm-hmm. And you had a true middle class. You had people that you had a working class, people that spent money in the bars, the restaurants. What do we got now?
Well, here's what you have
You don't have
now.
a lot of disposable income.
Here's what you have now. The middle class is disappearing. You have the low class and you have the high class, the upper class and the lower class. And the middle class is slowly but surely disappearing.
And that's what supported a lot of the businesses.
Right.
That's the people that took the family out once in a while, went to the ball game,
Right.
went to the movie theater.
Right.
Now what do you got?
You have people with no money to spend and non-taxable properties, which is trouble for a city. At least we're trying to do some redevelopment, trying to build some townhouses to bring people back.
This is a great time to be in government. This is why I enjoy being where I am.
Right.
Because I always wanted to be, not the savior, but this is the time when you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to start, you have to start doing some different things.
Well, you have to start thinking out of the box, Kaz. I mean, to just go along with things per se, we have to start doing things differently because it's not just Erie, it's every city.
Yeah, we have to start bringing,
Look at Detroit.
my thing of what the biggest challenge is to all of us who are in public office, running for public office, whatever, the biggest challenge is bringing back people into what used to be our old central neighborhoods.
Right.
You know, you can have all these fluff projects in the world, but the bottom line is, you got to have strong neighborhoods, strong schools, and, you know.
Well, the primary elections are coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll see how things turn out.
You'll see what people feel, you know what I mean?
I mean,
These
people better come out and vote. They don't vote. They sit home and complain and whine and cry.
Yeah.
But if you're a voter, you need to call 2 or 3 people that you know personally and make sure that they go and vote with you. Because unless it's a presidential primary, nobody gets off their duff and comes to the polls, and then they whine and cry about not happy, you know, how they're not happy with things when they just sit around and do nothing.
I get mad at Mr. LaCourtrick in the morning, and I know Jimmy.
Yeah. Well, before we go, we got the 1 minute sign. I want to talk about.
Go ahead. You got your 1 minute.
You
got more than that, so go ahead.
Nah, he gave us a 1 minute sign. The 9/11 memorial dedication is Thursday at 2 o'clock.
This Thursday?
This Thursday at 2 o'clock down at the library. The public is invited. If you're interested in help, you know, some donations to help, you know, with the building fund, they have the website, the 9/11 memorial.com, I believe, or if you Google that, it'll come up. And before we go off the air, I'd like to say something about yesterday being Mother's Day. And I haven't, you know, I wasn't on the show last week, but I want to wish my mother a belated happy Mother's Day. She's going through chemo right now. She's had cancer for a long time, and she's a very strong lady, and I just want her to know that I love her and that I'm proud of her, and she sets a good example for me of what it takes to be a strong person and to keep my head up, to keep positive about everything. So I just want to tell my mom that I love her.
Which brings me to my soapbox. This is what makes the Kansas project so important.
Yeah, they're starting human
that
trials.
brutal cancer has touched every family.
Absolutely.
It's an equal opportunity killer and what do you call it? Illness monster that it is.
It scares me, Kaz, that the major drug companies are going to fight any type of actual cancer cure due to the fact that it'll cost them billions in revenue from the drugs that they sell to people to keep them living as long as they can. And again, and then the government, I mean, if you look at a population aspect of it, people are living long enough. The Social Security money is drying up, and if more people live longer, then the government's going to have to pay their Social Security, their health care benefits, and everything that goes along with being, I mean, within the next 20 years, the senior citizen level is going up like 200%. Because with the baby boomers, they're all getting to that senior citizen age, and the system is already broke. So I'm worried about the government, and I'm worried about the drug companies who have all the money for the lobbyists to try to work against some you know, a project like the John Kansas Foundation and a cure for cancer. But we all need to start working together, get those people the financing they need, and get these trials. I think they are starting human trials. I didn't read the article, but it's been coming and it's been long enough, and let's get this thing going.
I've never understood why, if somebody wanted to be tested and they were going to die, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, like the FDA, you know, you have to jump through the hoops with the FDA, and, you know, they're all, you know, you have to deal with the drug companies. The drug companies aren't going to want it. And that's just, it's too bad that
if you have a loved
people
one,
suffer.
like my wife went through that, that's not pleasant.
I know.
And I lost my dad that way.
Yeah.
And
Well, I've lost my grandmother and my grandfather. So, but it's tough. But I just think we need to keep plugging away, and I just wanted to say that about my mom with yesterday's being Mother's Day. So, all right, I think we're probably about done. So, hey, next month we're going Cat TV.
we're going to try real hard.
We're going to try. So
We'll keep you informed.
we'll let everybody know what's going on. Thanks.
Let's see our exit music.
We need to update the exit music.
Got to get a better one.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.